When the darkness comes, it doesn't announce itself with subtle whispers. It storms in uninvited, like a tempest tearing through the fragile walls of your soul. It wraps its tendrils around you, pressing down, suffocating, until you forget what light even feels like. But here's the thing, the darkness doesn't fight fair. It fights to win, and if you let it, it will claim you, leaving behind nothing but ashes. If you let it, it will claim you, leaving behind nothing but ashes. But listen closely, because this isn't just about the darkness. This is about what happens when you fight back. This is about the fire within you, the one you've tried to ignore, the one you thought was extinguished. That ember, small and faint, is still there. And when the darkness pushes, when it screams, when it tries to convince you that you're powerless, that's when you rise. That's when you burn brighter. Because you were never meant to stay in the shadows. No, you were forged for the storm, created to endure. And every time you've been knocked down, you've gotten up, even when it felt impossible. Those scars you carry, they're not marks of failure. They're evidence of survival, proof that you've already faced the worst and lived to tell the tale. So here you are, standing at the edge of it all, staring into the abyss. But you are not the weak, fragile thing the darkness wants you to believe. You are a warrior, a force to be reckoned with. And when the darkness fights back, you don't shrink, you rise higher. You don't run, you light the fire. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your rebellion. Taran paused. His head slowly went from left to right, focusing on the crowd as he leaned in to look around the room. This isn't just another pep talk. This isn't a fleeting moment of inspiration that fizzles out before it catches fire. No, this is a wake-up call, a thunderclap in the silence of your despair. You've been waiting for someone to show up and save you, haven't you? Hoping for a sign, a miracle, something to pull you from the quicksand that's been dragging you under. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. No one is coming. It's just you. And that's enough. Yes, I see you tired, beaten down, carrying the weight of battles no one else can see. The kind of battles that leave scars on your soul and questions in your heart. Why me, you've asked? Why is this my fight? Why is it so damn hard? You've tried to keep going, to hold it all together, but it feels like every step forward just gets undone. The darkness, the pain, it fights back harder every time you think you've found a way out. But let me tell you something. You've been lied to. They told you that you're weak, that you're broken, that the fight was too big for someone like you. And maybe you've started to believe it, started to shrink, started to think the shadows are stronger than your light. But they're wrong. They've always been wrong. And deep down, beneath the doubt, beneath the fear, you know it. This is not a story about defeat. This is a battle cry. For too long, you've forgotten who you are. You've let the world tell you what you're worth, let your failures define you, let your wounds keep you chained. But here's the thing about chains. They're only as strong as the hands that hold them. And you're stronger than you think. The more you identify yourself by your weaknesses, the more you force yourself to be stronger than you think. It's not the truth. You're a woman. But what? Because pain has a purpose. Struggle shapes warriors, not victims. Those nights you've spent crying into your hands, wondering if anyone sees you. Those are the nights that forge resilience. The days when you couldn't find the strength to get out of bed, but somehow you did anyway. That's where courage is born. And every time you thought about giving up, but took just one more step, that's proof that the darkness hasn't won. So listen to me now, because this part is important. The theme of your story isn't brokenness, it's rising. It's about standing in the face of the storm and daring it to come closer. It's about lighting a fire so bright that the shadows scatter. It's about deciding right here, right now, that your story isn't over, not even close. This is a story of confrontation, of taking the lies you've believed and tearing them apart piece by piece, of staring into the eyes of your pain and refusing to back down. Because when the darkness fights back, you fight harder. When it tells you that you can't, you're reminded of every time you already did. And when it tries to bury you, you rise. Not in spite of the dirt, but because of it. Seeds grow best in the dark, after all. So here we are. You, me, and this moment. A crossroads. One path keeps you in chains, waiting, hoping, sinking. The other, it's unmarked, uncertain, but it's yours. A path where you reclaim your power, rewrite your story, and emerge from the ashes stronger than you've ever been. Are you ready? Not to listen, not to hope, but to fight, to rise, to be what you were always meant to be. If you're not, then stop reading now, because the truth is, this script isn't for everyone. It's for the ones who are ready to face the mirror, to confront their fears, and to choose themselves, finally, fully, unapologetically. This is your battle cry. Now let's begin. You've been walking through a wasteland, haven't you? A place where the air is heavy, the ground feels unsteady, and every step forward feels like a betrayal to your own strength. You tell yourself to keep going, but deep down, you wonder why you even bother. It's like you've been running on a treadmill of pain, moving endlessly but never getting anywhere. And with every step, you hear the voices, the whispers, the doubts. They're relentless, aren't they? You're not good enough. You'll never make it. They were right about you. Those words echo like a cruel symphony in your mind, each note striking a chord of fear, self-doubt, and shame. You've tried to drown them out. You've put on a brave face, told yourself you don't care, pretended the opinions of others don't affect you. But late at night, when it's just you and the quiet, those voices grow louder, don't they? They remind you of every failure, every mistake, every time you fell short. You feel it in your chest, like a weight you can't shake. The loneliness creeps in, weaving itself into the fabric of your thoughts. You look around, and it feels like everyone else has it together, everyone but you. Social media shows perfect lives, smiling faces, victories on display, and here you are, struggling to hold yourself together, wondering why it's so much harder for you. Damn. But it's not just the loneliness, is it? It's the betrayal. The people who were supposed to love you but turned their backs instead. The ones who promised they'd stay, then disappeared when you needed them the most. The ones who saw your vulnerability as an opportunity to hurt you. That pain cuts deep, doesn't it? It leaves wounds you can't see but feel every day. It's a betrayal that makes you question if anyone can truly be trusted. Then there's the fear. The relentless, gnawing fear that grips your soul and whispers, what if this is all there is? What if you'll always feel this way? It's not just fear of failure, it's fear of trying, of risking, of hoping. Because what if you hope and it all falls apart again? What if you put your heart into something, only for it to be shattered like before? It's safer to stay in the shadows, isn't it? Same as right. Keep your dreams small, your risks minimal, and your expectations low. At least that way, the pain won't catch you off guard. But let's not sugarcoat it. The villain here isn't just other people, is it? It's not just the ones who left, the ones who doubted you, the ones who hurt you. The villain is inside you, too. It's that part of you that clings to the pain like a security blanket. The part of you that would rather stay in the familiar agony than face the unknown. The part of you that whispers, this is who you are, broken, unworthy, defeated. And let's not forget the world itself, the society that teaches you to measure your worth by achievements, by appearances, by how well you fit into its rigid molds. It's the voice that says, you're only as good as your last success. It's the pressure to keep smiling, keep performing, keep pretending you're fine. But you're not fine, are you? You're exhausted. Exhausted from wearing masks, from holding yourself to impossible standards, from feeling like no matter what you do, it will never be enough. This is your struggle, isn't it? A war fought on multiple fronts, against the world, against others, and most painfully, against yourself. It's no wonder you feel like giving up some days. It's no wonder the thought of trying again feels like climbing a mountain with no summit in sight. If you believe you are worth killing for, if you believe you are worth thinking about loving for, But here's what they don't tell you. That mountain isn't just there to defeat you. It's there to reveal you. Because every fear, every doubt, every moment of betrayal, they're not just obstacles. They're the tools the darkness uses to fight back. And the question isn't whether the darkness is strong, it's whether you are. So take a moment right now to let yourself feel it all. The weight of the loneliness, the sting of the betrayal, the suffocating grip of the fear. Let yourself admit that this is hard, because it is, but don't stop there. Don't stay in that pain, because while it's real, it's not the whole story, not even close. The darkness has been fighting you with everything it has, but you're still standing. And if you can feel this much pain, it means you still care. It means you still have something worth fighting for. And that is where your power begins. Noah, let's get honest, brutally honest. Staying where you are, trapped in this cycle of pain, doubt, and fear, has consequences. And they're not just small inconveniences or temporary setbacks. No, the stakes are far greater than that. If you let this darkness win, it will devour you whole, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but an empty shell of who you could have been. You know this already, don't you? You felt it creeping in. The slow erosion of hope, the gradual dulling of dreams. You tell yourself, tomorrow will be better, but tomorrow comes, and nothing changes. You go through the motions, wake up, survive, repeat, but deep down, you know you're not living, you're existing. And that's not enough, is it? As filthy as that sounds. But let's take this further. If you stay here, stuck in this place, what happens next? Let me paint the picture for you. The weight of your pain doesn't just sit quietly in the corner. It grows, it festers. It starts to seep into every part of your life. Relationships crumble under the strain. Dreams you once held so tightly begin to feel childish, unattainable. The spark in your eyes, the one that once lit up a room, fades into something hollow, something distant. And what about the people around you? The ones who love you, who care for you, who see your potential even when you can't. They'll try to reach you, to pull you back, but if you're not careful, you'll push them away. You'll retreat further into yourself, building walls so high that no one can climb them. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've built a prison, a fortress of pain, self-doubt, and isolation. I know this isn't easy to hear, but you need to hear it. Because this isn't just about feeling bad or having a rough patch. This is about your life, your future. If you keep letting the darkness win, it won't stop until it consumes everything. Your passion, your purpose, your joy, it'll all slip through your fingers like sand, and you'll be left wondering where it all went wrong. And then there's the worst part, the regret. Not just the regret of missed opportunities, but the regret of never truly trying. The regret of looking back and realizing you let your fears dictate your life, that you let the pain decide your worth, that you stayed small, stayed silent, stayed hidden, because the idea of fighting back seemed too hard. That regret, it's a weight heavier than any pain you're carrying now. But let me pause here, because I need you to understand something. Feeling this despair, this hopelessness, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. Every warrior has moments when the battle feels unwinnable. Every hero has a chapter where they fall to their knees, wondering if they'll ever rise again. This is your moment, and it's okay to feel it. It's okay to cry, to scream, to admit that you're tired. It's okay to not be okay. But you cannot stay here, do you hear me? You cannot stay here. Because while the darkness wants you to believe this is the end of your story, it's not. Not unless you let it be. The world will keep spinning, time will keep moving, and you have a choice to make. You can let this pain define you, let it shape your life into something small and forgettable, or you can decide, right here and now, that this is not where your story ends. You may not feel ready, you may not feel strong enough, but let me tell you something. No one feels ready when they're standing at the edge of transformation. The leap is terrifying, the unknown is daunting. But staying where you are, that's not safety, it's slow death. It's the slow extinguishing of everything you are, everything you could be. So yes, the stakes are high, and yes, the darkness is fighting back. But there's a fire in you, even if it's just an ember right now. And embers, when given air, can grow into infernos. You have a choice. Stay here, in the despair, and watch the fire die, or breathe life into it. Fan the flames. Let it consume the lies, the doubts, the fears that have held you captive for so long. The clock is ticking. The world won't wait for you to decide. And deep down, you already know the truth. You cannot stay here. Because this place, this depth of despair, it's not where you're meant to end. It's where you're meant to begin. What if everything you've been through, every scar, every tear, every sleepless night, wasn't a sign of weakness, but proof of your survival? What if the pain you've carried wasn't meant to break you, but to shape you into something unshakable? What if, right here, right now, you decided to stop seeing yourself as the victim of your story and became its hero instead? Let me ask you something. When steel meets fire, what happens? It doesn't melt into nothingness. It transforms. It becomes stronger, sharper, more resilient. That fire you've been walking through, that heat that's been threatening to consume you, it's not here to destroy you. It's here to forge you, to burn away the doubts, the fears, the lies you've been told about yourself, to leave behind only the core of who you truly are, powerful, unbreakable, unstoppable. No, but this transformation doesn't happen passively. It's not something that falls into your lap. No one is going to hand you resilience. No one is going to gift you the strength to rise. It's something you claim, something you decide. And that decision starts here, now. The first step, own your story. All of it. The messy parts, the painful parts, the parts you wish you could erase. Stop running from it. Stop pretending it didn't happen. Because your story, every chapter of it, is what makes you. The scars you bear aren't marks of shame, they're badges of honor. They're reminders that you faced the worst life could throw at you, and you're still here. Think about that for a moment. You're still here. After everything, after all the storms, the heartbreaks, the failures, you didn't quit. You wanted to, didn't you? You thought about giving up, about walking away, but you didn't, and that right there is your power. That refusal to give up, even when everything in you screamed to let go, is proof of your resilience. Proof that you're stronger than the darkness, even when it feels like it's winning. But here's the thing about strength. It's not just about enduring. It's about transforming. You've endured long enough. You've survived the fire. Now it's time to become something new, something greater. Imagine yourself as a seed buried in the soil. At first it feels like death, the weight of the dirt pressing down on you, the darkness closing in. But what happens next? The seed doesn't stay buried. It begins to grow, slowly, imperceptibly at first, but with every moment it gets stronger, pushing through the soil, reaching for the light. That seed is you. The dirt, the darkness, it's not your grave. It's the beginning of your growth. But growth requires action. It requires a decision. A choice to stop letting the past dictate your future. A choice to stop waiting for someone else to save you and start saving yourself. Because no one knows your story better than you. No one knows your pain, your dreams, your potential better than you. And no one, not the darkness, not your fears, not the people who tried to tear you down, gets to decide your worth. Only you do. So here's what you do. You take the lies you've been told and you rewrite them. Every time you hear that voice in your head saying you can't, you answer with watch me. Every time doubt creeps in, telling you you're not enough, you remind it of every battle you've already won. Every time the darkness fights back, you light another fire. 3/4 of a wine glass. If that stops one person, it's not worth a shit. You don't need permission to rise. You don't need anyone's approval to become who you're meant to be. The power to change your story has always been yours. It's been waiting for you to claim it. And when you do, when you take that first step toward transformation, you'll realize something incredible. The darkness was never as powerful as it seemed. It only had the strength you gave it. And now you're taking that strength back. This is your turning point. The moment you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what now? The moment you take the pain that's been holding you down and turn it into the fuel that propels you forward. The moment you decide that no matter what's happened, no matter how many times you've fallen, you're not done yet. Because here's the truth. Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about rising every time you do. It's about looking at your scars and seeing not weakness, but wisdom. It's about understanding that the fire you've walked through didn't destroy you, it made you. So, what will you do with this fire? Will you let it burn out? Or will you let it ignite something unstoppable within you? Will you stay buried? Or will you push through the soil and grow? The choice is yours. It always has been. And when you choose to rise, to fight, to transform, there's nothing in this world, no darkness, no fear, no obstacle that can stop you. There's a moment in every story, every battle where the tide shifts. A moment when the hero, beaten, bloodied, on the brink of defeat, realizes the truth they've been searching for all along. The power to change the story was never out there. It was always inside them. This is your moment, your revelation. They thought they'd buried you. They whispered about your failures, pointed at your pain, laughed at your struggles. They told you it was over, that you didn't have what it takes, that you'd never make it out alive. But here's the thing they didn't understand. You weren't buried to be forgotten. You were planted to grow. And now, it's time to rise. Let's get something straight. This isn't about proving them wrong. This isn't about vengeance or validation from people who don't deserve a seat at your table. This is about proving something to yourself, that you're stronger than you ever thought possible, that every battle you've faced has prepared you for this moment, that the person you've been waiting to save you, the hero you've been searching for, is already here, starting now. We'll get through this together. Let's be married in the streets. It's you. Let me ask you, who decides your worth? Them? The ones who doubted you, belittled you, tried to break you, or you? Who gets to write your story? The pain, the fear, or you? Who decides what happens next? The darkness that's been clawing at your heels, or the light that's been waiting to erupt from within you? The truth is, you've been giving your power away for too long, to the opinions of others, to the lies you've believed about yourself, to the fear that told you to stay small, to hide, to shrink. But that ends now. Right here, right now, you're taking it back. Picture this, your life, your future, like a blank canvas stretched out before you. No rules, no limitations, just endless possibilities waiting to be painted. What would you create? What would it look like if you stopped letting the past dictate your colors? If you stopped letting fear hold the brush? if you started painting with the boldest, brightest strokes of your imagination. This is the turning point, the moment where everything shifts. Not because the pain magically disappears, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you decide to change your perspective. You decide to see yourself not as a victim, but as a warrior. Not as broken, but as evolving. Not as lost, but as searching for something greater. Let's break it down. 1. They thought they broke you. They thought they broke you, didn't they? The world, the circumstances, the people who didn't believe in you, they threw their stones and you caught every single one. But here's what they didn't realize. You've been building. With every stone they hurled, you've been stacking, you've been crafting a foundation. Not for their approval, but for your rise. They thought they were tearing you down, but all they did was give you the tools to climb higher. 2. What they fear most. Do you know what they fear most? It's not your failure. It's your success. It's the moment you realize that their words, their doubts, their attempts to hold you back were never about you. They were about their own insecurities. People fear the strength they see in others, especially when they don't have it themselves. But that strength, it's yours. It's always been yours, and it's time to unleash it. 3. The power of choice. Think about this. Every moment, every single moment you have a choice to stay down or to get back up, to let the pain control you or to use it as fuel, to listen to the voice that says, you can't, or to drown it out with your roar of, watch me. What will you choose? Because no one can make that decision for you. The power to rise is yours. It always has been. 4. The vision of what could be. Close your eyes and imagine it. The life you want, the version of yourself you've dreamed of being. It's not some distant fantasy. It's not for someone else. It's yours for the taking. But you have to claim it. You have to step into it. You have to believe that you deserve it, that you're capable of it, that you're worthy of it. And you are. You are worthy of everything you've ever wanted and more. 5. The flame within. Fire inside you, the one that's been flickering, fighting to stay alive. It's time to stop protecting it like it's fragile and start feeding it like it's unstoppable. Because it is. That flame is your will, your resilience, your unbreakable spirit. Let it burn brighter than the darkness. Let it consume the doubts, the fears, the lies. Let it light the way forward. This is the moment you decide, the moment you take the pen and rewrite the story, the moment you step out of the shadows and into the light. It's not going to be easy. Growth never is, but it will be worth it because every step you take towards your power, your purpose, your potential is a step away from the chains that have held you back. You are not what they said you were. You are not your mistakes. You are not the sum of your pain. You are the person who rises, the person who fights back, the person who turns scars into stories and ashes into fuel. You are the person who takes the darkness that tried to destroy you and uses it to light a fire the world can't ignore. The turning point isn't coming, it's here, and it's yours. So tell me, what are you gonna do with it? Will you stay buried, or will you rise? This is it, the moment you've been waiting for. The moment where the story shifts from words on a page to action in your life. No more waiting for someone to give you permission. No more sitting on the sidelines, watching life pass you by. You've felt the fire within you, and now it's time to let it burn. But here's the truth. It's not enough to simply feel the fire. It's not enough to have the desire, the dream, or the vision. You must take action. You must move forward, step by painful step, even when the road is unclear, even when the weight of your past tries to pull you back. The darkness will fight back. It always does. But that's exactly why you need to rise. The challenge is before you. Will you take the pieces of your brokenness and build something unbreakable? Will you take your scars, your pain, your fears, and turn them into the very foundation of your strength? Because that's what you must do now. It's not enough to survive anymore. You're not just here to endure. You're here to thrive, to conquer, to rise higher than you've ever imagined. Will you grow, to grow into life worth living? Will you grow into a life worth living? Will you grow into a leadership esteem? 1. Start with self-reflection. The first step toward rebuilding is looking within. It's time to reflect, not just on your pain, but on who you truly are, beyond the labels others have placed on you. Take a long, hard look at your journey so far. What have you survived? What challenges have you faced that you once thought would break you, only to find yourself still standing? Find whatever it takes to find your true Reflect on your growth, however small it may seem. Every time you got back up, every moment you refused to quit is evidence of your strength. Don't dismiss it, embrace it. It's not weakness that got you here. It's resilience, the ability to keep moving even when it felt impossible. Start by acknowledging that. Understand that everything you've been through, every struggle, is part of the blueprint for your greatness. So now, ask yourself, who am I? Not who they said I am, but who I choose to be. What do I want? What is it that I've been holding back? What have I been afraid of? And how can I face that fear head on? Who am I now? And what do I want to be now? And it's all within us. Don't worry, we can do it. 2. Set clear, bold goals. Once you've looked within, it's time to look ahead. Where do you want to go? What is the life you've dreamed of, the one you've kept hidden because you were too afraid to admit it? Now it's time to make those dreams a reality. But dreams alone won't take you anywhere. You need goals. Clear, actionable steps that will move you forward. Don't settle for small goals, don't play it safe. You've spent too long letting fear control your choices. Now set goals that scare you. Goals that push you out of your comfort zone and force you to grow. Goals that align with who you are becoming, not who you've been. Start with something simple. Break it down. What's the next step? Not the end goal, not the finish line, but the next small step you can take right now, and then the next, and the next, and the next. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just take that first step. With each one, you'll feel your power grow. With each one, you'll realize that you've always had what it takes to get where you want to go. Without question, becoming a better writer, becoming a better wife, becoming a better person. Great. Build resilience step by step. Resilience doesn't come overnight, it's built, piece by piece, through repeated effort, through pushing through when it would be easier to quit. Every time you face adversity and keep moving, you build resilience. Every time you stumble but refuse to fall, you strengthen that muscle. So the road ahead won't be easy. There will be times when you feel like giving up. There will be moments when the pain resurfaces, when the doubts creep back in, when it feels like the weight is too much to carry. But this is where you rise. This is where you prove to yourself and the world that you won't back down. When the darkness calls, remember this: you are the storm. You are the force that can't be ignored. Resilience is not about never breaking. It's about bending, stretching, and growing stronger with each challenge. Build your resilience every day. When you face something difficult, remind yourself, I've faced worse and I'm still here. I'm still fighting, and I'm going to keep fighting, no matter what. 4. Reframe your pain as your strength. Let me be clear, you cannot erase your pain. You cannot erase the past, but you can change the way you see it. Your pain isn't a burden. It's the soil from which your strength grows. Every struggle, every hardship, every tear has carved the path to who you are today. And if you let it, it will continue to carve the path to who you're becoming. The pain you've endured, the scars you carry, they are the proof of your survival. They are the evidence that you've weathered the storms and come out the other side stronger and more capable. So stop hiding from your past. Stop pretending like it doesn't matter. It matters. It's a part of you. But it doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do with it. Will you let your pain be your prison, or will you turn it into your power? Will you let it keep you small, or will you use it to fuel your growth? 5. Action, the final step. Now the real work begins. It's time to stop talking about what you're going to do and actually start doing it. Action is where transformation happens. It's the difference between wishing for change and making it happen. It's the difference between being a victim and being the victor. Take what you've learned about yourself and move forward. Pick up the pieces of your past and build something unbreakable. Start small if you need to, but keep moving. One step, another step. Keep going, because the truth is this: you're already stronger than you think. You've already made it through more than you can imagine. And now, it's time to rise higher. This is your moment. This is your time. No more waiting, no more excuses. You've been through hell and you're still here. Now it's time to live like it. You've come so far, haven't you? You've stood in the face of darkness, felt its cold fingers wrap around your throat, and yet, here you are. Not destroyed, not defeated. No, you're stronger, you're fiercer, and you're ready to rise. You might look at your life and think, how? How do I step into the light after all this? How do I carry the weight of everything I've been through and still move forward? Let me tell you this. They thought they broke you. They thought the pain would shatter you into pieces too small to ever be put back together. But they didn't break you. No, they forged you. Every hit, every scar, every wound, They didn't destroy you, they strengthened you. He tried to react. They sharpened you. They prepared you for this moment. Now, it's your time. Your time to rise from the ashes. Your time to step into the world not as someone who has been broken, but as someone who has been transformed. This is your story, and it's time you took control of it. No one else can write it for you, and no one else can tell you how it ends. But you can choose how it unfolds. Look at where you've come from. Look at the mountains you've climbed, the battles you've fought, the demons you've faced. You've been through hell, but you didn't just survive. You've learned, you've grown, and you've come out stronger. Every tear, every struggle, every moment you thought would break you only served to make you who you are now. You are not the sum of your failures, your losses, or your pain. You are the culmination of every time you refuse to quit. You are resilience personified. So stand up, warrior. Stand tall and look the world in the eye. You've earned your place here. You've earned your victory. This is your time to shine. Your time to use the fire that has been lit inside you and set the world ablaze. You are not here by accident. You are here because you fought for it. You fought for every inch of your progress. You fought for your right to rise, and now the world will witness it. You've heard the darkness, haven't you? You've heard its whispers, its threats, its attempts to pull you under. But now, listen closely. Do you hear that sound? It's the sound of your heartbeat. It's the sound of your fire. It's the sound of someone who has finally realized they are not defined by what happened to them, but by what they choose to become. That sound, it's your victory. You've been waiting for permission, for a sign, for a moment when someone would tell you, now is the time. Well, I'm telling you now. This is the moment, your moment, and the time to rise is now. They told you you'd never make it. They told you that you weren't enough. But look at you. Look at how far you've come. And now, look at what lies ahead of you. It's all yours for the taking. Don't waste another second doubting yourself. Don't waste another moment looking back. The future, it's wide open and it's yours to create. You have the power, you have the strength, you have everything you need to make it happen. So what's stopping you? What's holding you back? Because the truth is, there's nothing left standing between you and your greatness. Not the pain, not the doubts, not the fears. The only thing standing in your way now is you. And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I am ready to rise, then nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop you. Now's the time, your time. Step into it. They thought they broke you, but all they did was forge a weapon. Now, it's your time to rise. And when you rise, nothing will ever be the same again.